is that you're free.
You know what? Let me tell you
You're
something.
walking around.
Let me say something to you.
What's your problem
let me
here?
Say something.
Just be free, be happy.
Once I get riled, sometimes, you really get pissed, and I start thinking about stuff and thinking about this and this and this and this. And
why do you go on?
Because I'm talking to you, and you got me riled up. You got me started on this subject. So if you promise that you will not ask me another question about the case,
I will never ask you again.
We won't have to talk about it anymore.
Just did you do it?
No, I didn't.
The Trojans with the ball. And it appears that Southern California has another first down of SC. The nation's #1 rusher, showing you why he has those staggering statistics. Simpson inside the 35 to the 34. It'll be a 3rd and 2. They need 3 yards. First down and more. There's Simpson. Look at that cut. O.J. Simpson.
Tonight I got this tequila in me. The girl I came here with said to me, "Is this a blues place?" I said, "Well, no. This is rhythm and blues." I mean, people, when it's live, it's something special about being live. I mean, historically, one of my favorite shows is Saturday Night Live because it's live. And as an athlete, being live is what it's all about. Game day. So in a sense, you get the sense that it's game day for whatever that performance is, which means anything can happen. 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 And I think that adds to the excitement of the play.
I think it'd be very releasing.
Speaking of that lady I was talking about.
There she is.
With another shot of this tequila. Now watch her, y'all. So watch her sing.
Oh my God. That's fine.
We're alive right now, all across America. There she is, my woman. I'm taking her tequila. That's why I'm not singing tonight.
Thank you very much.
Emergency. Can you get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green? He's back. Please.
Okay, what does he look like?
He's O.J. Simpson. I think you know his record. Could you just send somebody over here?
Okay, what is he doing there?
He just drove up again.
He just drove up
over?
Okay, wait a minute. What kind of car is he in?
He's in a white Bronco. But first of all, he broke the back door down to get in.
Okay, wait a minute. What's your name?
Nicole Simpson.
Okay, is he the sportscaster or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Wait a minute. We're sending the police. What is he doing? Is he threatening you?
I'm going nuts.
Okay, has he threatened you in any way, or is he just harassing you?
You're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in again.
Okay, just stay on the line.
I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit out of me.
Wait a minute. Just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there, okay? Okay, Nicole?
Uh-huh.
Just a moment. Does he have any weapons?
I don't know.
Okay.
He went home, now he's back. My kids are upstairs sleeping, and I don't want anything to happen.
Okay. Has he hit you today, or no?
No.
Okay, you don't need any paramedics or anything? Okay. You just want him to leave?
My door. He broke the whole back door in.
And then he left and he came back?
Then he came and he practically knocked my upstairs door down, but he pounded it, and then he screamed and hollered, and I tried to get him out of the bedroom because the kids were sleeping in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then he wanted somebody's phone number, and I gave him my phone book and put my phone book down to write down the phone number that he wanted, and then he took my phone book with all my stuff in it. What?
What does he say?
What do you always say?
Units, your domestic violence at 30 Correction 320 South Crescent Greenway is too high. The suspect is now entered in the shelter and it is refusing to leave. It's code too high. Incident 4221 RD 825 children involved. Just stay on the line, okay? Is he upset with something that you did?
A long time ago, it always comes back.
Trees, there are steps and a gate and a dirt area beside the front entryway and a patio. But we took the tree out so you could see that. Now we're going to put the tree in because the night of the murder, the tree provides incredible shade and it's extremely dark in this area. At this point, Mr. Goldman comes up to the gate, punches it, and rings the doorbell. Nicole Simpson leaves her condo, and she actually leaves the front door ajar to come down and open the gate. There's obviously a speakerphone, and she knows who her visitor is. Literally, the assailant has to come from the patio area, or the physical arrangements of the subjects make no sense. The way he attacks them immobilizes them both. He hits the right side of Mr. Goldman's face with his left hand and does so very hard. There's a substantial bruise on the right side of his face. Simultaneously, or very soon thereafter, we believe the assailant hits Nicole Simpson on the left side of her face with the butt of his knife, the pommel. And that knocks her right side of her head into the wall. We believe that knocks her out, which enables the assailant now to come down and deal with the number one threat, which is the young, able, and in pretty good shape Mr. Goldman. We postulate that he puts the point of the knife behind Mr. Goldman's head and actually uses the knife like a fork with his hand over the mouth to raise Mr. Goldman to his feet. The medical examiner has testified that that wound alone would have been sufficient to kill Mr. Goldman if nothing else had been done to him. It's obvious from the medical evidence that the assailant has a hand over Mr. Goldman's mouth, is having a talk with Mr. Goldman, and is emphasizing his points with the knife. The next fatal blow received by Mr. Goldman is a plunge right over his heart, hitting him in the left side of his torso. Another thrust, again from the back, upwards under the rib cage, which is also a fatal thrust. And he takes a final knife blow in this side, another fatal wound. And we postulate he falls away into the fence. We see abrasion marks down the back of his scalp, which we believe is a result of falling down the fence. And then he falls over, and that is literally the position he is found by the police the next morning. With Mr. Goldman dealt with, the assailant is now free to turn his attention to Nicole. The assailant uses the same technique to lift her as he does Mr. Goldman. Hand over mouth, most important. It's clear, again, that the assailant is talking to Nicole Simpson. The reason we know this is before the final fatal cut of her throat, there are 3 other small cuts on her throat, parallel to where the fatal blow is going to be administered. It's clearly, again, torture. The final cut across her throat is going to be delivered with her head cocked substantially back. And the strength in that cut is enormous. And by that I mean she is going to receive a single slice to the front of the throat that is going to be so deep it is going to nick her spinal cord. That requires tremendous strength for a single cut. I don't care how sharp your knife is. The assailant notices he has lost his wool cap. And in the animation, he touches his head. Unlike our animation, which has got enough light level for you to see what's going on, in the real scene, this was very, very dark, and it's a dark wool cap. He's trying to feel for the wool cap. He can't feel anything through the gloves. He has to take the gloves off to feel for the wool cap. By taking off both gloves and not being careful about it, he actually ends up leaving a glove behind and not retrieving the wool cap. We speculate that something disturbed him in his search and cut it short, whether it be a dog barking or some neighbor's voice or something. When the investigators arrive, they're going to find Nicole's body in this position, Mr. Goldman's in this one. They're going to find the knit skull cap here. They're going to find a glove very close by it, Mr. Goldman's pager, and his keys are all going to be found in these relative positions.
Good morning. I wish I could answer any question you like. Obviously, as you know, I can't. At around 1:20, okay? Main yard. Listen, I can't follow you. You don't know what you're talking about. All my best friends were black. When I got married, if you look at the group of people who were standing next to me, the majority of them were black. Half of my wedding was black. So I mean, you ask questions when you don't know what you're talking about. You're just throwing things out there, and you happen to be ignorant to the subject that you're talking about. I was just as happy then as I am now, and if my future is one of poverty or whatever, I think the people around me are happy, and I think I can get along just fine.
Did you need this honorarium from these people?
I can, whatever you want to send me, I need. Whatever you send me, I can use.
Okay, do you wish to give up your right to remain silent and talk to us?
Yes.
Okay, and you give up your right to an attorney present while we talk?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what we're going to do is we're investigating, obviously, the death of your ex-wife and another man.
Someone told us that.
Yeah, and we're going to need to talk to you about that. Are you divorced from her now?
Yes.
How long have you been divorced?
Officially, probably close to 2 years, but we've been apart for a little over 2 years.
Have you? What was your relationship with her? What was the?
Well, we tried to get back together, and it just didn't work. It wasn't working, and so we were going our separate ways.
Recently, you tried to get back
We
together?
tried to get back together for about a year. You know, where we started dating each other, and she came back and wanted us to get back together, and
Within the last year, you're talking about?
she came back about a year and 4 months ago, and about us trying to get back together, and we gave it a shot, and she gave it a shot the better part of a year. And I think we both knew it wasn't working, and probably 3 weeks ago or so, we said it just wasn't working.
Okay.
And we went our separate ways.
Okay, the children are yours?
Yeah.
And, you have custody?
Yeah, we got joint custody. She has.
So it's already been through the courts?
Through the courts and everything. Everything is done. We have no problems with the kids. We do things together, you know, with the kids.
How was your separation? Was that
The first separation?
yeah, was there problems with that?
For me, it was big problems. I loved her. I didn't want us to separate.
But I understand that she had made a couple of crime reports, annoying crime reports or something?
We had a big fight 5-6 years ago on New Year's. You know, she made a report. I didn't make a report. And then we had an altercation about a year ago, man. Wasn't a physical argument. You know, I kicked her door or something.
And she made a police report on those 2 occasions?
And I stayed right there until the police came and talked to him.
Were you arrested at one time for something?
No. I mean, 5 years ago we had a big fight.
So you arrested him for?
I know I ended up doing community service.
So you were arrested?
No. I was never really arrested.
They never booked you in?
No.
But can I ask, when's the last time you slept?
I had a couple hours sleep last night. I mean, I slept a little on the plane, not much. And when I got to the hotel, I was sleeping a few hours when the phone call came.
Did Nicole have a housemate that lived there?
I believe so.
Do you know her name at all?
Avia, Alvia. Something like that.
We didn't see her there. Is she on a day off, perhaps?
I don't know what schedule she got on.
Mr. Simpson. The other glove.
This is People's 164A. Is that the right-hand glove?
Yes, sir.
All right. Deputy Jex, would you just take a step back, please? Thank you. All right, records reflect that Mr. Simpson has both gloves. Yes.
Mr. Simpson's indicating that his fingers are all the way in his blood wrong.
All right. Thank you, counsel.
Mr. Simpson told the jury that the glove was small.
All right.
I'm only calling for one reason.
because you are a liar. Mr. Gelb will tell you, I've never met this man. If I met him, it's in a social environment, and you're telling America that he did some tests for me?
No, I think, let's settle it real easily, O.J.
I just heard you a second ago.
Wait now.
Say Mr. Gelb met him, he said he never took a test.
Mr. Simpson?
And plus, Mr. Gelb will tell you, there is no way on earth that a person in the middle of a lie detector test, that somebody can tell if they're feeling it or not feeling a lie detector
Mr. Simpson,
test. If he's hooked up, it's impossible to do that.
Mr.
Ask
Simpson?
Mr. Gelb the pertinent questions. Stop giving bogus information. Mr. Gelb, ask him, has he ever met me?
Mr. Simpson, here's the problem. Mr. Gelb says he has an attorney-client privilege
Ask
relationship
Mr.
with you.
Gelb. I'm saying this.
And as a
That's
result,
have we
dangerous.
ever met?
He says that he can't answer that question because
Why?
he has an attorney-client privilege relationship with you. Would you release
Okay,
him from
but I'm
that
just saying that
attorney-client
you guys
privilege?
talking about Mr. Gelb was in some room with me and said that he can't answer it. To my knowledge,
Well,
if
that's
I met
shocking.
Mr.
He
Gelb,
wasn't.
we may have been in a social environment.
Let's
I don't
see.
recall ever meeting him outside of a social environment.
So
to
what
my
you're saying-
knowledge, he was in Europe.
Mr.
At the
Simpson?
time, the week of Nicole's death. So I don't know what you're giving.
Well, I appreciate you
bogus
calling him.
information. I've heard you twice, sir, say to your audience that O.J. testified that he was with Mr. Gelb somewhere. To my knowledge, I've never met Mr. Gelb, and I know I've never said I was with Mr. Gelb anyway. Plus, Mr. Gelb will confirm to you that it's impossible for somebody observing a lie detector test to be able to tell if a guy is lying in the middle of a lie detector test.
Mr. Gelb,
That's simple.
Mr. Gelb, he says...
O.J. is correct in regards to that. In other words, if there was somebody who was not the examiner or the person being examined, there would be no way they could determine until the end of the examination whether the person was truthful or deceptive.
Nearly 40 minutes out of an hour, we have seen a man who perhaps is the worst kind of racist himself. Someone who shoves racism in front of everything. Someone who compares a person who speaks racist comments to Hitler, a person who murdered millions of people. This man is the worst kind of human being imaginable. He compares racism of its worst kind in this world to what's going on in this case. He has suggested that racism is the foundation of the police department, of our justice system, and only these jurors are capable of fixing everything that has been going on in history. This man is sick. He is absolutely sick. He walks around for the past days screaming, if you would, in a silent way that his life has been threatened. And who does he choose to walk with? Guards from the Nation of Islam. He's talking about racism, and he talks about hate. Who does he connect himself with? This man is a horror walking around amongst us, and he compares what Mark Furman did to misery from the beginnings of history.
Feelings that this is unethical conduct at its highest.
How offensive, okay, to the human race to not give them the benefit of the doubt that they would be able to try this case according to the facts and according to the evidence and not have to put in the crap of the racial bias. Okay, that's insulting to people's intelligence. I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what religion you practice. That's insulting.
I was thinking last night about this case and their theory and how it didn't make any sense and how it didn't fit and how something is wrong. It occurred to me how they were going to come here and stand up here and tell you how O.J. Simpson was going to disguise himself. He was going to put on a knit cap and some dark clothes, and he was going to get in his white Bronco and this recognizable person and go over and kill his wife. That's what they want you to believe. That's how silly their argument is. And I said to myself, maybe I can demonstrate this graphically. I'm going to show you something. This is a knit cap. I'm going to put this knit cap on. You've been seeing me for a year. If I put this knit cap on, who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap. And if you look at O.J. Simpson over there, and he has a rather large head, O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
It reminded me that there was testimony early on that Detective Lang had refused basically to pick up a knit cap inside the Brown residence. That was shown to him, I think, by some of the lawyers and one of the investigators on that date, because these are fairly common. They don't really disguise anybody who's noticeable, do they? And although I was the guinea pig here this afternoon, if you were to put a knit cap on, how's that going to disguise you? We've been together. I'd know your face anywhere now, and you'd know mine. And the people in Brentwood, in West Los Angeles, would know O.J. Simpson. They know his car. They know him. That's where he lives. Even the prosecutors say he's so famous that he can't go anywhere where he wouldn't be recognized.
You asked me a question about something.
Yeah.
And there's no superficial answer.
No.
Unless I talk about
But
it,
I can
unless
hear
I
you're
get deeper.
bugged. I can hear you're
Of course
bugged.
I am. I'm bugged to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Get my blood pressure going to have to. I don't think anybody could have gone through. I got excuses. I got totally screwed. I got screwed. You know, I got things taken from me. I got me, to an extent, taken from me. My kids don't have a mother, and people want to ignore because of their, as far as I'm concerned, either ignorance, and in many cases, subconscious racism, won't look at the facts.
Well, can't you say one thing? You know, I don't care whether you're black, white, or green. I really don't care. The bottom line is you got off. You're innocent.
Thank you. Yeah, that is the bottom line, but that ain't the bottom line
save
for
your breath.
so many
You're
people.
innocent. You got off. What kind of racism is that? You're free.
You know what? Let me say
You're
something.
walking
Let me
around.
say something.
What's your problem
let me
here?
Say something.
Just be
That's
free,
it.
be
And
happy.
once I get riled, sometimes, you know, you really get pissed, and I start thinking about stuff and thinking about this and this and this and this. And
why do you go on?
Because I'm talking to you. And you got me riled up. You got me started on this subject. So if you promise that you will not ask me another question
I will
about
never
the case,
ask you again.
we won't have to talk about it anymore.
Just did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope.
After we finished filming, OJ said to me that he had a surprise for me, and I genuinely was surprised. I think it was his idea of a joke. And this is it.
Hand tends to be oriented in the same direction.
And the issue here is Kim Goldman, Patty Goldman, Fred Goldman, and the Brown family. The issue here is whether this defendant killed Nicole Brown or Ron Goldman or not. The issue here isn't my ethics. The issue here isn't racism.
Ron and Nicole were butchered by their client. Do any of you believe otherwise? You have seen the evidence in this trial. It is overwhelming. This is not now the Furman trial. This is a trial about the man that murdered my son. How dare they take the position that all they want to do is prove perjury. They are liars.
I wanted to discuss with the court how it is that we were going to handle not only the...
Is to prove perjury? Are we all fools? Do they take us all?
All right, Mr. Simpson, would you please stand and face the jury? Mrs. Robertson.
Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information. Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the State of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Ronald Goldman, a human being, as charged in count 2 of the information. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, further find the special circumstance that the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, has in this case been convicted of at least one crime of murder of the first degree and one or more crimes of murder of the first or second degree to be not true. Signed this second day of October 1995, Juror 230. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is this your verdict? So say you one, so say you all.
All right, counsel, Mr. Simpson, would you be seated, please? Just have it quiet in the courtroom, please. All right, Mrs. Robertson, would you please poll the jurors?
Juror number 1, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 2, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 3, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 4, as to count 1, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 5, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 6, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 7, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 8, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 9, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 10, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 11, as to count 1, is this your verdict? Juror number 12, as to count 1, is this your verdict?
I think you probably have more people who are profoundly disappointed with the result. Chris?
It was a dignified fight. It showed great courage, great integrity, great moral strength. And we have every reason to be proud of every single one of them. And we are. Thank you.
I'm not angry, but I'd also like to thank the lawyers on our prosecution team. I am honored to have
last June 13th, 94, was the worst nightmare of my life. This is the second.
Chapter 6 is called The Night in Question. And you write in the book, now picture this and keep in mind that this is hypothetical. Hypothetical.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel. They're going to, whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is
Charlie.
Charlie. This guy Charlie shows up, the guy who I recently become friends with, and I don't know why he had been by Nicole's house, but it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there has got to stop, right? So we kind of hooked up together, and I'm kind of broad stroking this. we go over, get in the Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
To the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right. And you reached under the seat for
a knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, "You ain't bringing that." And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate, you go through the back gate.
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and I'm looking to see what's going on. And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did to keep her overhead down and thing. And music was on, and while I was there, the guy shows up. You know?
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He says to you, "I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant."
Yeah, words to that effect, yes.
And he was,
I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. It's pretty much immaterial because, you know, I was more concerned about everything that was going on, you know, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out. And we started having words about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, "This is my house, get the F out of here."
You know, I thought Lang had some integrity. I mean, for a long time, I thought Lang would be my salvation, you know, even since the trial. But you know, once you write a book together and you make an income from it, I think he compromised himself. I have much worse, if I had to have feelings with Van Adder than I do with Lang. As a matter of fact, when the verdict was read, my biggest issue, as I had already told all my lawyers, be no celebrate, I wanted to go after Van Adder. He was in the courtroom on me, and it was just it took everything I could not to go after this guy, because I felt he was responsible for allowing somebody like Mark Furman to be as out of control as he evidently was during the investigation of this case.
Tom Lang joins us from Los Angeles tonight. Nice to see you, Tom.
Hi, Greta.
Tom, what do you think of O.J. Simpson?
What do I think of O.J. Simpson? I don't know that we have enough time. But looking at that interview the last couple of nights, it reminds me of some guy who's been sipping his own bathwater. Here's a guy that's been in the minds of the vast majority of people everywhere, walking around free after killing 2 people. There's a tremendous amount of evidence that nails him and says that he has done this crime. There's basically nothing exculpatory, yet he's almost giddy in this interview. And now he gets serious when you talk about Van Adder and Furman and these things. I don't know what he's talking about as far as Van Adder's influence over Furman. The fact is, neither of them ever got along. They didn't even like one another.
Tom, in terms of both trials, the criminal trial, of course, is a not guilty. The civil trial, which is a lesser burden, I admit, but it was a verdict that went against O.J. Simpson. The police department participated in both. Why the seemingly inconsistent verdicts? Why were they different?
Well, they're different, Greta, for a number of reasons. Of course, we know that the preponderance of evidence.
Yeah, there were all these little incidences that happened, and a private phone call was one of them. He had called my private line shortly after his arrest, and it was a very narcissistic conversation. What turned out to be, I was waiting for him to say, "I'm sorry," or "This is horrible that this is happening." I mean, some sort of acknowledgement from what just happened to our entire family, but it was nothing. It was more, I would have put myself in front of a train for your sister. I loved your sister. And then it turned into, well, what did she ever do to me? What did she ever do for me? And I'm like, she gave you 2 kids, she gave you a house, and it just turned very narcissistic. And then it just and then we had a family friend of ours ours that had an aneurysm, and I brought that conversation up, and he basically said, I don't care about him. Look at me, I'm in this 7x9 cell with the steel toilet. So it really turned back to him. And then there was the cut on the finger. What people don't know is that I was driving with him in the limo on the way from St. Martin of Tours for the funeral service to the cemetery, and there was a cut on the finger. And I was sitting in the limo looking at this going, that's the cut everybody's talking about. And then when the DNA came out in the blood evidence, I was like, that sealed the envelope. And
The wealth of evidence in this case is simply overwhelming.
I always loved it when they said there's a mountain of evidence, trails of blood. Well, there was no mountain of evidence in my mind. They thought, we got our guy. They talk about trail of blood and this and that. Well, why don't you follow the trail of Mark Furman? O.J. Simpson does not have time to slaughter his wife, be surprised by a guy half his age, stab that guy a bunch of times by himself, and get away with everything. Get rid of the weapons and the bloody clothing and whatever else had blood on it. If he did do this, he would have had blood in his eyelashes, for God's sakes. He'd had blood covered in blood. And you can't be cool, calm, and collected getting in a limo 20 minutes after the murder. I'll give the government the best. I think it's 31 minutes from the murder to the time he's in the limo. I don't think that would be solved, but people have said, well, who did it? I said, well, I worked 18 hours a day for, 17 months on this case, and forget about since then all the times I've thought about it. I don't know who did it, but I know who didn't do it. O.J. Simpson did not murder two people.
Back in 1994, my brother Glenn told me he'd met Nicole Simpson, that she was rich, and that he was going to take her down. Just a few days later, a neighbor found the bodies of Ron Goldman and Nicole outside her Brentwood home.
James, it wasn't O.J. A Hamilton man says his brother is the one who killed Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman, and now his story has been made into a documentary set to air on Investigation Discovery. But one woman we spoke with says not so fast. News 5's Karen Johnson joining us now from Hamilton with the story. Karen?
Well, Mike, the documentary is set to air Wednesday night, and it'll take viewers to Hamilton, here along Park Avenue. The narrator of the film is the brother of serial killer Glenn Rogers. But another family member I spoke with for quite a while today says the allegations in the film made by Clay Rogers are just not true. Glenn Rogers, currently on death row for a murder in Florida. The Hamilton native made local and national headlines in 1995 when he led police on a high-speed chase which ended in Richmond, Kentucky. Rogers is also suspected of killing at least 10 others and once claimed he had murdered 70 people.
I was about 11 years old. Glenn was about 8.
Now his brother Clay Rogers, seen here narrating a documentary that will air on Investigation Discovery, claims Glenn is also responsible for the 1994 deaths of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman.
He would share bad things with me, so there was a bond there.
The documentary claims Glenn told family members that he was working for Simpson and he was going to take her down. But in an exclusive phone interview with me, the Rogers' ex-sister-in-law Paula Rogers, who is married to their other brother Gary for 34 years, disputes Clay's allegations. Paula says Glenn, quote, did not kill Nicole Simpson. He was in the area. He was in the same bar Nicole was, but he did not kill her. About Clay, Paula told me this is a desperate cry for help. I don't understand why he's doing this to his own brother. She claims he is homeless right now. Nobody wants him. And several times in my interview, she said Clay has always been a con man. We did some digging into his past and found he has an extensive criminal history out of Iowa. Drug charges
was used, guns were used, or at least a gun was used. There was another gun there. The potential for harm was great. You're fortunate nothing more happened. Property was stolen. The jury convicted you, and now I'll sentence you. Okay. All right, for Mr. Simpson. All right, Mr. Simpson, in addition to the $25 administrative assessment and the $150 DNA fee, I'm going to sentence you as follows. That's 6. Count
1, conspiracy to commit a crime, 1 year in the county jail. Count 2, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, a minimum term of 12 months, max term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 2 to run concurrent to count 1. Count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery, a minimum term of 12 months, max term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 3 to run concurrent to count 2. Count 4, burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 26 months, a maximum term of 120 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 4 to run concurrent to count 3. Count 5, the first-degree kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon, a fixed term of 15 years, parole eligibility beginning after 5 years, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll run concurrent to count 4. Count 6, first-degree kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon, a fixed term of 15 years with parole eligibility beginning after 5 years, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll run concurrent to count 5. Robbery with use of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 60 months, a maximum term of 180 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections, with a consecutive 12 to 72, and again the enhancement because of the increase.
It has been 18 years since Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were murdered. A lot of people believe O.J. Simpson did it, but as Javier explains this morning, there's a new name involved in this. Javi, good morning. It's pretty interesting.
It is interesting indeed. Definitely a talker. Now, I know we've heard many who did it stories with regard to the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, but none quite like this one. Why? Well, it's actually coming from a serial killer who we do know murdered at least 50 people. This is Glenn Rogers right here. He might be one of the least known serial killers, but in a new documentary, his brother tells the story of how Glenn was in the same town working construction at the same time of the murders. But he also told the family he knew Nicole, was partying with her, she was rich, and he was, quote, going to take her down. So why would he do it? Well, Glenn told his brother O.J. paid him to break into Nicole's house and steal a $20,000 pair of earrings he got for her and, quote, kill her if necessary. Also, when Rogers was on death row, he admitted to the murders and knew things about the murders that only the killer would have known, including a step-by-step description of the exact sequence of the killings, which had eluded prosecutors and cops for some time. Now, it was after 1994 that Rogers went on a killing spree and was eventually caught. Now, at this point, there's no word on if this changes anything with regard to the case. We do know O.J. was acquitted of murder.
New headline in the O.J. Simpson murder case. Tonight, the Los Angeles police confirming that they are testing a knife allegedly found buried at Simpson's former estate. It's a case, of course, that riveted the nation from the moment Simpson took off in that white Ford Bronco, chased by police for hours. Simpson arrested for the murder of his wife, Nicole, and her friend, Ron Goldman, both stabbed to death. The weapon never found. Every minute of the 10-month trial on TV, the jury, in the end, finding O.J. not guilty. No other suspect ever found, nor was any knife. But tonight, amid reports this one is not consistent with the murders, the LAPD acknowledging they are testing it. As we ask, would it make any difference, even if they ever found DNA? ABC's Matt Gutman is in Brentwood, California tonight.
Tonight, that knife, another torture twist in the O.J. Simpson case. The LAPD saying today the knife was allegedly found by a construction worker on O.J. Simpson's property during the late 1990s and are investigating whether it's connected to the brutal stabbing of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman, in 1994.
This individual wanted to turn it over to law enforcement.
The LAPD says this knife is now being carefully scanned for possible DNA evidence amid reports that initial findings show it's not the murder weapon. But ABC News has learned the full test could take weeks. The shocking part, an LAPD officer, now retired, was allegedly handed the knife by a construction worker and held on to it for 18 years.
The shocking part, an LAPD
officer, now retired, was allegedly handed the knife by a construction worker and held on to it for 18 years.
Right now, O.J. Simpson is spending his final nights behind bars. He could be out of prison and on parole as soon as Sunday.
It was 23 years ago. O.J. Simpson was a prime suspect in the murder of Ron Goldman and O.J.'s ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. Ron's father sitting down with Arizona's family's Mike Watkins tonight.
You never say his name.
Never. He is simply the killer. That's his name.
Fred Goldman never utters the name O.J. Simpson, but a few days from now, the world will once again be all abuzz about O.J. as the 70-year-old Simpson walks out of a Nevada prison.
I do vote to grant parole.
Thank you.
After serving 9 years of a 33-year sentence for a bungled armed robbery at a Las Vegas hotel.
This is a trial about the man that murdered my son.
It was 23 years ago, summer 1994. Fred Goldman's beloved 26-year-old son, Ron, brutally murdered, along with his friend Nicole Brown Simpson. We were there the day they found the bodies.
Cause of death has been established as multiple sharp force injuries and stab wounds.
Anything you tell us? Nicole's ex-husband, football, TV, and movie star O.J. Simpson found not guilty.
I have this weird notion that bad people who have committed crimes belong in jail. Not getting out early, not getting out at all in some cases.
O.J. was later found responsible for the deaths of Ron and Nicole in a civil lawsuit. The Goldman and Brown families awarded a $33 million judgment against Simpson, which just so happens to be the same number of years O.J. was originally sentenced to for that botched holdup in Vegas.
He made it very clear years ago in a public statement that he wouldn't work a day in his life if any of that money went to pay off the judgment. And he's lived by that. He's managed to hide money in phony companies and hide things with the help of his attorneys.
Was Nevada payback for him not getting?
The answer is maybe, but frankly, I don't care. So what? He got away with murder. And if somewhere along the line he's held to task and put in jail, like I said earlier, where bad people belong, that's fine.
And now O.J. Simpson set for release on early parole October 1st.
I expect it'll only be a short period of time before he will be in the public eye again, shooting off his mouth. And at some point, I assume getting in trouble again. I can look at all of this, and then in my heart of hearts, I have to always say, but Ron missed this.
And for Fred Goldman, there is still not a day that goes by that he does not miss his son. And Fred says the truth is, whether O.J. Simpson is behind bars or not, that will never change.
You don't just walk away from it. You don't just forget about it.
Closure?
Is no such beast as closure.
Is there such a thing?
None whatsoever. I view closure as if you're reading a book and you're done, you close it. You're done. A family member of a victim of violent crime doesn't get closure. That horror stays with you in your head forever.